The day I married Maya, the people sitting in the pews did not celebrate us. They whispered behind their hands, exchanged knowing glances, and laughed under their breath as if I had just thrown my entire future away. My friends believed I was making the biggest mistake of my life by marrying a woman without money, status, or conventional beauty. 5 years later, those exact same people stood in total silence, staring at her with complete disbelief. Many of them secretly wished they could erase every cruel word they had ever spoken, but the past was already written. My name is Nathan Hayes, and I am a 32-year-old systems developer living in Seattle, Washington. My parents passed away when I was 23, an event that reshaped my entire perspective on what that truly matters in life. They taught me that external appearances fade quickly, but genuine human kindness leaves a mark on the world long after we are gone. Because of that, I never cared about keeping up appearances, driving expensive cars, or trying to impress people who only valued superficial traits. When I first met Maya, she was 28 and working at the downtown public library. She was a quiet woman who preferred spending her free time surrounded by books rather than chasing attention on social media. She had a faint scar across her left cheek from a childhood accident, a feature that made her painfully self-conscious in a world obsessed with physical perfection. Yet, the first time I saw her, she was patiently helping a young boy pick up a stack of spilled books, laughing gently to make him feel less embarrassed. I checked out a book I had no intention of reading that afternoon just to have a reason to speak with her over the next few weeks. My brief library visits turned into long conversations about our childhood memories, personal struggles, and hidden dreams. Talking to Maya felt completely natural, as if I had known her for my entire life. One rainy evening, as the library was closing, I offered to walk her to her bus stop, refusing to let her walk alone through the cold downpour. During that short walk, Maya opened up about her past, explaining how kids at school had mocked her scar for years until she convinced herself that no one could ever truly love her. She admitted that she had learned to expect very little from the people around her. I looked at her directly and told her that she had simply been surrounded by the wrong people her whole life. She did not say a word, but her soft, sad smile told me just how deeply those old words still wounded her. Within 3 months, we were officially dating, and falling in love with her was the easiest decision I ever made. Unfortunately, convincing my family to accept her proved to be an uphill battle. My older sister, Clara, invited me over for coffee one afternoon specifically to express her disapproval after seeing a picture of Maya. She bluntly told me that a successful man like me could do much better, completely disregarding Maya's character simply because she did not look like a magazine model. A week after that conversation, my coworkers reacted the same way when I proudly showed them a picture of my new girlfriend during lunch. One of the guys actually laughed out loud, while another shook his head in pity, assuming I was joking. That night, Maya instantly noticed that I was upset and gently coaxed the truth out of me. When I revealed what they had said, she simply sighed and said she was used to being treated that way, a response that broke my heart even more. 6 months later, I asked Maya to marry me during a quiet evening walk along the coast at sunset. There were no elaborate setups or expensive rings, just a people who had found absolute comfort in each other. When I asked her if she would spend the rest of her life with me, she burst into tears and wrapped her arms around my neck, holding on so tightly that it felt as though the rest of the world had completely vanished around us. Our wedding day was simple, but the atmosphere among the guests was heavy with silent judgment and quiet ridicule. Relatives and coworkers exchanged awkward glances throughout the reception, whispering about how I could have chosen someone so plain. Later that evening, a colleague holding a glass of champagne openly asked me why I went through with the marriage when I had better options. I looked him in the eye and asked him what he actually knew about her, leaving him completely silent. He knew nothing about her resilience, her gentle spirit, or the fact that she spent every Saturday volunteering at a local children's center. He had reduced her entire human worth down to a 5-second glance at her face. mistaking his own prejudice for wisdom. When the reception finally ended and we were left alone in the empty hall, Maya looked at me with tears in her eyes and asked if I would ever regret choosing her. I held her face in my hands and promised her that the day I stopped choosing her would be the day I stopped being myself. 3 months after our wedding, a sudden early morning phone call from Evergreen Memorial Hospital changed the course of our lives. Maya's grandmother, the woman who had raised her and taught her to be strong after her childhood accident, had been admitted in critical condition. We rushed through the heavy rain to be by her side, arriving just in time to spend her final peaceful hours together. Her grandmother looked past Maya's scar, seeing only the beautiful soul inside, before passing away quietly a week later. The grief that followed weighed heavily on our household, causing Maya to withdraw from the world entirely. She stopped laughing, barely touched her food, and abandoned her favorite hobby of painting detailed portraits. One evening, while searching through our closet, I stumbled upon a hidden sketchbook filled with breathtaking artwork she had created over the years. When I asked her why she kept such incredible talent hidden, she quietly confessed that she was afraid people would laugh at her work. Determined to show her the truth, I secretly photographed several of her paintings the next morning and posted them to an online art community. By that evening, thousands of art lovers from around the world were sharing her work, leaving overwhelming praise for the emotional depth in her brushstrokes. When I showed Maya the glowing comments, her hands trembled with disbelief, and for the first time in months, a genuine smile returned to her face as she realized people truly valued her talent. Local galleries and art collectors quickly took notice, leading to an invitation from Maya to display her paintings at a downtown community exhibition. On the night of the event, she stood nervously beside her artwork, terrified that no one would take her seriously. Her doubts evaporated when an elderly woman burst into tears while looking at one of her portraits, buying the piece on the spot because it reminded her so deeply of her late husband. By the end of the night, every single canvas had been sold out. Her growing reputation eventually earned her an official invitation to the Pacific Northwest Contemporary Art Gala, one of the most prestigious art events in Seattle. On the night of the gala, Maya walked into the crowded ballroom wearing a simple emerald dress, proudly leaving her scar uncovered without a trace of makeup. The entire room fell silent as renowned gallery owners and wealthy collectors crowded around her display, mesmerized by the raw vulnerability and beauty captured in every single piece of her art. As photographers surrounded Maya, my sister Clara approached us from across the room with tears streaming down her face. She softly apologized for judging Maya years ago, admitting that her harsh words had come from her own shallow pride rather than a desire to protect me. Maya gently accepted her apology with grace. Standing tall, the celebrated artist who had finally taught the world that true beauty is never found on the surface. If stories like this touch your heart, subscribe to the channel and join our community. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss the next journey.